Hi everyone, I need to keep tracking what I do, so if this video isn't of your concern because it's not delivering a forecast, then just come back on another day. But for my consistency, I need to keep tracking what I have forecasted right, what I have forecasted wrong, because it's very good that we have consistency in these matters. So the last time when we spoke, I said about November, I said that's it, that's the bottom I have for November. I really don't have any more bottoms for November. And I said this looks like a very substantial swing bottom as well, because these dates are derivatives from the biggest bottom of this cycle from 21st of November 2022 cycle, and then this middle date was from the 22nd of June swing bottom as well. That was a very important higher low that we made in 2025. So after that, you can see that the owners of the daily time frames forecast, they had all of this done for them to indicate that we're going up until the 10th of November. That's exactly what happened. We went up until the 10th of November. In terms of a price, there is no way for me that I would know that price. Where is 10th of November? That 10th of November ended up being a very low price, so that was unexpected for me. I really expected that the price will go higher, but unfortunately not as high as the top, because that is then super bullish to go all the way as high as the top, although it has been done in the past, like the gap between 17th of December and 20th of January tops. Those two tops were within 45 days of each other, but that doesn't happen very often. Anyway, I expected much higher top here on the 10th of November, but in terms of a pivot, the pivot did materialize exactly as it was given here in the daily time frames forecast. And then we have a very good gun date here, 6 by 49 days from 20th of January top, and that is exactly it played out exactly. And from there on, we had another date for a top on the 12th of November, but that didn't materialize. So that was the top on 10th of November. So this pivot low here, I expected it to be the swing low for the whole of Q4, right? I made it very clear that's what I expect, because it is coming from such a big date. But unfortunately, it didn't stand. It just served as a very local bottom, the 3rd and 4th of November. 3rd and 4th of November here. Right, so actually, am I looking in November? Yes, I'm looking in November. So what happened after that then? After that, in November, these dates are were colored in green because they were supposed to be tops. So I expected another top around this time. Such are the calculations of gun dates. I have made it clear to everyone that gun dates cannot be certain about whether something is a top or a bottom. As soon as I saw them that they're not performing as a... This is neutral, by the way. I only colored it after I saw that 15th of November is a low. Okay. But if this had remained in a neutral color, that would have been fine. So actually, it is more accurate to have that date in a neutral color as it was in the original. So, because this is counted from NATO, so you will never know whether that is a top or a bottom. 16th of November, it's 3 by 49 from the 22nd of June bottom. So if this is the bottom here, imagine this is 22nd of June. So 1 by 49 is a top, 2 by 49 is a bottom. So the odd numbers should be tops. 3 is an odd number, so the odd number is always on the top and the even numbers on the bottom. So that's why I had it highlighted in green, but no, it played out as a bottom. Very weird bottom, 3 by 49 days. Next one, 18th of November, it's 5 by 45 days from 7th of April bottom. Again, this is an odd number, it shouldn't be like that. If this is a bottom here, we count 45 up, 45 down, that's 2 by 45, 3 by 45 up, 4 by 45 down, 5 by 45 should be up. But no, again, that plate 18th of November is playing as a bottom. At the moment we have this hammer shaping up. They're not to be trusted, like they deliberately shaping these candles in a way that is difficult to that we cannot predict from them. Of course, we know that when we get a well-shaped color, particularly in a red color, that means a bottom, right? But how many bottoms did we get in the whole year? How many of these hammers did we get in the whole year? You will see that none of those bottoms had hammers, and despite that, they still led to quite few pumps up. The last time we had a proper well-shaped hammer was on the 22nd of June 2025, and this is since then we have not had a single well-shaped bottom. And I'm not looking for excuses, I did miss this top on the 6th of October, but look at this, on this red candle, who in their right mind will be entering a long position? So when this started going up, my gun dates, by the way, were indicating that this will be a bottom this particular week. So when this started going up, I thought this was fake, and I thought soon it will be coming down soon, because this is not a well-shaped bottom here. So that was a lot of, they misled us in that way, because nobody will be entering a long position on this fully bodied red candle, which shows no rejection of the lows. You need to get a long wick on the bottom, which shows that the lows were just touched, and then the majority of the market makers rejected the lows and everything went up. And then you expect a reversal to the upside, at least for some time. This is not well-shaped hammer. It has a longer wick here, but it's not a hammer. The hammer needs to have a much smaller body. So that is why this candle here perfectly predicts what happened, a local rally, right? But this candle doesn't predict that. This candle is a falling knife, and I had my gun dates here indicating a bottom, several gun dates in this section here, so I completely didn't expect that this will go all the way to actually making a top. I thought this was a local move, because here this candle did not show us that we have very big rejection of the lows to justify so much going to the upside. Anyway, come back here. So the next date that we have, so far these are playing out as bottoms, and I had them in the daily time frames, as I had them colored in green as tops. So the next date that we have lined up now is 45 days from 6th of October top. We've already reached that, and that's the 20th of November. So I will not be surprised if we head down again around 25th of around 20th of November. And then I also always use the two cycles, 45 and 49 days, both of these. And usually, in my experience, the pivot happens here in this section between 45 and 49. However, I have seen pivots extended. I have seen pivots extended for another few days, even after the 49. Usually these two cycles mark the zone of the pivot. Right, there is another pivot here on the 20th of November. There are two pivots actually on 20th of November, two different cycles I mean, and they converge on 20th of November, so that they make 20th of November stronger in that way as a possible pivot. and then we're moving to 49 days from 6th of that's the 24th of November, and then we're moving to 25th of November 7 by 49 days from 17th of December top. Then we have 33 cycle from natal. Those natal cycles, we never know whether there will be tops and bottoms, so if we have to be fair, that should not have a color here. And then the reason why I have written here bottom zone for these dates is because my solar eclipses are giving me this as a bottom zone. Right? You can see the solar eclipses here are indicating that there is some dumping. There is quite a lot of red here. And anything else? Not the historical performance though. The historical performance is green in this last week of November, so I'm only highlighting to you what I've got. In terms of the Mercury in Sagittarius cycle, it tends to be bearish here just before it goes direct in this last week. Majority of the closing candles have higher probabilities of red closures, and that is the other participant. So we have some dumping here on the eclipse cycle, and we have some dumping on the Mercury in Sagittarius the last week of the cycle. So that's why I have written here bottom zone. But it may be wrong. I'm not making a forecast anymore because this miss that I made on the 6th of October really kind of made me feel very uncomfortable. So at the moment I'm not really making forecast, but I'm highlighting what cycles I've got coming up. Oh yeah, this ends on 29th of November. That is when Mercury stations, by the way. So that is again a very important date. We'll see what we're doing here at this time. If we're still on a downtrend until 29th of November, then clearly Mercury going retrograde will change the trend. But I really don't expect that we'll still be on a downtrend by 29th of November. Straight down, I mean. We may be on a downtrend, but not on a straight down because of this influence here. This influence here is quite strong. I mean, there are quite a few days here. Some of these days are sporting the highest probabilities of green closures in the whole year. Like 29th of November, 73% closing on green. 28th of November, 66% closing on green. These are Sagittarius nakshatras here this time of the month. After 21st of November, we're entering Sagittarius. Sagittarius tends to be a very bull energy. So for that reason, I really don't know how this will be a straight line dumping. But if it does happen, don't be surprised because we do have the eclipse cycle dumping in the end of November, and we do have the Mercury in Sagittarius dumping in the last week of November. So what happened is in October. So we made that bottom there. Oh yeah, I just wanted to show you the gun dates that I had, that they were all indicating a bottom actually on in the first week of October. Like 2nd of October was 49 days from 14th of August top, therefore that is a bottom. Then 4th of October was 4 by 45 days from 7th of April bottom. Therefore, if it is an even number, 4 is an even number, that means it comes back to the bottom, so I expected the 4th to be a bottom. 6th of October was 136 times of 45 days from Bitcoin natal. So if you count from the Bitcoin date of birth, it was 136 times 45 days. That's 6th of October, quite a big pivot. And then what I didn't give the subscribers is this very important pivot which I have completely forgotten, and that was 6th of October is equal to 6. Oh, no, that was 7th of October, not 6th, sorry. It was 7th of October. So 7th of October is equals of 6 cycles of 49 days from the 17th of December top 2024. I have completely forgotten to put that date in the October forecast. I only realized that after I was going through all the cycles. So this is kind of telling us, guys, that the top is in. I'm very sorry I didn't manage to catch it, because this is you can see the 7th of October is a derivative of the 17th of December top. That was a yearly top in 2024. Exactly 6 by 49 days, which makes it a top. Now, if you're looking for another top, let's have a look in the Gann dates. One second. Why I have forgotten to include it is because I never trust the Gann dates by themselves. I want to have a cycle, a separate cycle, some kind of a planet cycle or something else that is confluencing a Gann date, and only then I take it seriously. And that is the reason why I haven't included it. I have forgotten. Just one second, please. I will go to my Gann dates. Okay. Right, so do you see it here? This is 17th of December 2024. 7th of October is exactly 6 cycles of 49 days. So if you want another top, that will be 13th of January 2026. Because after 7th of October, it makes a bottom on 25th of November 2025, this particular cycle. And then it goes up for 49 days. And that's it. That is our next chance for a top, 13th of January 2026. So that date will be included in the January forecast, the daily time frames forecast. The 45 days counting from 17th of December has not produced any pivots, so let's just have a quick look. 31st of January, nothing. 30th of July, 15th of June. 15th of June was close. We made the top on the 5th of on the 9th of June, but that is a whole week off. Again, 13th of September, we made the top on 18th of September. 28th of October, we made the bottom on we made the bottom quite close to that. We made the bottom on 30th of October, so that's why I have increased the size of this date, because it's an accurate prediction, or close to accurate prediction. So what this counting is saying, we're looking at 12th of December, some kind of a local top, and what this is saying, so now we know this counting here is dealing with very big tops. That's 17th of December 2024, and what this is saying, the next date we have for a top is 13th of January 2026. Right, after this I have taken 6th of October and I have extracted, and I'm running now the two cycles 45 and 49. I'm running them, and these are the bottoms now that we're waiting to manifest, the 20th and the 24th of November. And then what will be the next date after that? So this is plus 20, so we're looking at 40. Okay, one second, I need to color them appropriately. So these are, if you want to know when is the next time we're going to be making a top, because I know that many people are concerned about that. So that's why I'm making this video. Here is the next dates for tops, without me looking at any other cycles. These are just Gann cycles. One is projected to be 4th of January, the other one is projected to be 12th of January. Okay. And then we have this projected date here, 13th of January, so we already have a confluence, right? So there will be up movements, but at the moment I don't want to burden myself to give exact dates. With I'm only giving you these dates so you know what the Gantt cycles are saying. That is not the same as me making a forecast and saying on these days we get tops. For me to make that forecast, I need to check all the planetary cycles, I need to check tons of other things before I can. There needs to be confluences for this, right? I'm only giving you these dates to give you some peace of mind that we are expecting. This is not gonna last forever, this dumping that they're doing. And also, in all fairness, all year they stood on the top of the VWAP range. That was all year there. So now, look at that. I mean, from which month they made it here to the top of the VWAP? Let me just put the VWAP range. Just 1 second. Ah, here it is. So they stayed on the top of the they reached the top of the VWAP range on the 14th of July. So since the 14th of July up until the 6th of October, that is 3 months, they stayed. I know they played the range, but 3 months they touched. For 3 months they kept touching the top of the range and extending it, right? So we just need to give them a chance to satisfy their little knobs. Let them masturbate a bit longer, because this is all designed to create fear. Just when you look at these red candles, come on, this is not a situation that somebody has discovered a problem in the technology or some really fud going on in the macro. This is happening on a bull macro. And it does not deserve the emotions that people are giving this shit. It does not deserve any emotion. This is a joke. My dad is a chess player. As soon as he saw that, he actually laughed, and actually I lost his money, right? And he actually laughed, and my dad said they're getting carried away a little bit with their acting here. People who are experienced at analyzing situations will tell you this is a joke, this is not real. So they will be heading up. I cannot tell you how far they head up, and I do expect them that they'll go to the top of the VWAP range. That is my expectation. 119 is my expectation that they'll go to the top of the VWAP range. But I'm not saying to you now, yes, we are going to the top of the VWAP range. I'm not confident, I'm not optimistic. I mean, this behavior here on the market is clearly showing us that they just want to punish the bulls to the best. There is no fad news. I will understand if there is fad news, something about the technology, and they're dumping it because they're not finding any value in this asset. That is a different matter. That is then going to lower than 3K. That will be going to 2K probably. But in the absence of any of that, to be doing this acting here is just not acceptable. I refuse to engage with this emotionally. My job is to figure out how I missed that top, what cycle brought that top here on the 6th. Why didn't my cycle extracted the top later? My top for October was 13th of October. What happened? That all of these fractals that you see here, they're from my cycles, and none of them manifested. So what is it that cycle that suddenly became more dominating and discarded, invalidated my cycles? That my cycles have delivered a lot of pivots in the past. It's not that I'm using them for the first time. So that's my job, completely analytical. But I'm not engaging with this stupidity here. Like, they're making a fool of every fucking indicator, of every intelligent person who is thinking. They're making fools out of them. Look at this indicator. This indicator is made by a really nice guy, Lonesome the Blue. I really like his indicators. they're very precise. He has another breakout indicator that's quite good. Look how long ago he's been saying that it's bullish and it should be doing a reversal. He's been saying that since the 4th of November, and they just keep going lower and lower and lower. So what do they want to prove to us? Is that we're fucking idiots, that we refuse to feel stupid for missing that top. What they're doing is disgusting, and they know fully well what they're doing is disgusting. They're trying to make fools out of everybody on the crypto market, and they try to devaluate the value, to depreciate the value of all crypto assets. I saw an interview by BlackRock, one of their chief directors there, not the main guy, and he's saying crypto does not have any value. Once you see that in the news, that crypto does not have value, you know straight away that this is manipulation. And I'm not saying that there is no cycle that goes with it. There is always a cycle, even if it is a manipulation. You know, there is always a cycle that goes with it. I'm not so, but my point is that when that is in the news that crypto has no value, then that means that crypto has value. They are after our value, our freedom disturbs them, that we're free, that we can sell this crypto, do something that will allow us to be free from the system, and that is exactly the bit that bothers them. And we're in a fully blown war with BlackRock. We're in a BlackRock is enemy number one. I thought Trump was enemy number one in terms of trading us, where he created that dump there on the 9th of October with the tariffs to China threat. And then what happened is BlackRock got ganged up against him, and when that same Trump insider, that's not my imagination by the way, I follow the guys on Twitter who explain, who track all the whales and their positions. So in this place here on the 17th of October, the Trump insider who was in that big short 30 minutes before the announcement about the tariffs, he entered actually a long position here. Sometime here he entered a long position, and that's it. After that, that was on Twitter, documented. And whoever has been dumping the market, it's not him. They reported that the guy got totally wiped out. He lost 45 millions or something like that. So these whales are playing with each other. They're trying to outdo each other. They hate each other. These are the things that are going on, and probably we will never find out exactly what is going on between the whales. All I know is that BlackRock, a nasty, demonic entity that is trying to buy all the properties in UK. They want everybody to be a renter in UK. They want to own all the properties, and then they keep buying properties, and eventually it will reach a stage where people will no longer be able to buy properties, and the whole country will be renters to them. And they want to have one landlord. That's another thing that's been running in UK, is that the anti-landlords, all the legislation, all the regulations keep increasing against the landlords to deter people from letting properties, and then people selling their second properties. If they can't let them and make money from them, then they end up selling them because they're expensive to run with all the council tax and everything. So this is the game plan. These are the enemies of humanity. We know that very well. Now they're in crypto market. That is what they're doing. They want to take all of our money from us. So we know that fully well. We know that for the past 2 years they've been depreciating all the alts deliberately. Those alts, I'm not saying that they're very valuable assets, but in 2018 those alts were pumping how many times? They were pumping 10x, and that was considered normal. So that kind of volatility was quite useful for people to make money, and now deliberately they're compressing all the prices. They don't want to give us any volatility of all alts to prevent retail from exiting our positions. So that is the game at the moment, and there is nothing we can do about that. You can also see that this dumping here that we're watching is totally not justified by the top here. That top was only 7k extension from the top of the VWAP range. So the top of the VWAP range was 119k, and they pumped to 126k. That's 7k higher extension from the VWAP range. Did they do 7k extension from the bottom of the VWAP range? No. The bottom of the VWAP range when they started dumping was 109. How far did they dump? They're dumping to 1991 to 91k. So 91k to 101k is a 10k, and 109, that is 18k. So that is almost 3 times the dumping below the VWAP range, almost 3 times to what they pumped here above the VWAP range. It's totally disproportionate, asymmetrical. If you have counted days in the past, they tend to play various symmetries, but not this time around. This is totally asymmetrical now. That is why Lonesome the Blue has drawn this to be bullish, because it's way overextended. This VWAP, sooner or later, we go in that VWAP, right? So we should be heading towards that VWAP. Sooner or later. If it's not on November, it will be in December. If it's not in December, it will be in January. But this VWAP is still quite high, and they have to enter the VWAP and play to the top of the VWAP. This is a professional range, the VWAP. It's not some kind of a random range. Coming back here. Coming back here to the eclipse cycle. So the eclipse cycle on the Chinese cycle let me down. They didn't manage to extract the 6th of October top. I will never stop using those because they have nailed me many pivots in the past. So we need to look now what are the next dates that they're suggesting, and if they have any confluences with these dates that okay, the next date that the eclipse cycles are suggesting is 5th of December. Remember that as a bottom. Did we extract that date so far? We haven't extracted that date yet. Not to mention how many bull cycles bottomed on the 4th. I had tons of confluences for the 4th of November to be a very big pivot low. Look at that. Not only the 4th, but I meant that patch of dates there between the 3rd and the 5th of November that I showed you. 4th of November bottom highlighted. And after that goes up. Not in our case. So these are very technical matters, and the video will be very boring if I take you through all of these matters that projected the 4th of November as a top, and then they projected a top as a bottom, sorry, and then they projected a top that is much later. Like this aspect, for example, it projected a top on 17th of November. So to summarize, for the past 2 months, October and November, everything that has been bearish has manifested. Look at that. It manifested the 4th of November bottom. But it didn't manifest the top that comes after that. So People want to know, what is this cycle that is dumping so hard? And this is my answer to you. We have a very nasty situation where we have something called splicing of cycles. So one cycle is predicting 4th of November bottom, right? And then we get another cycle, and that is it. That cycle is predicting 4th of November bottom, and then it goes up from there. But then after that cycle, we get another aspect, and that is predicting, let's say, 13th of November bottom. And then we get another aspect, and that is predicting 18th of November bottom. And then we get another aspect, and that is predicting 20th of November bottom. So what we have is this splicing of cycles, one after the other, and then not allowing here any kind of breathing space. They allowed it here until the 10th of November. That was the eclipse cycle that made that. I showed it to you here in the daily time frames forecast for November, and then headed down. That was meant to be a really big top. That was meant to be a nice top. At least, look, they played it only to the bottom of the VWAP, which is exactly disgusting manipulation. They could have done it at least halfway through the VWAP, but they didn't want to allow retail any opportunity to exit our long positions. That's why they got it only to the bottom of the VWAP. Okay, so at the moment this is the climate that we're working on, is that they don't want to allow us to sell. So we don't know how long that will last. You can see that is deliberately designed. So even if with time we manage to nail some pivots, the price is not high enough to allow us to sell anything. Eclipse cycle, which is my main cycle, which has nailed me many pivots in the past. You take a horizontal line, never, ever in the past the top has happened in month number 1 of the eclipse. That has never been done before. There is not a single top that is highlighted here. For the 6th of October. So now we're on the 18th of October bottom. Let's see what is happening on 18th of October. We have had a local bottom on 5th of June 2024. That was a quite deep bottom. We have had a bottom on 11th of December 2023. That was a bottom as well. 5th of June, was that a bottom actually, or a top 2024? It doesn't look like a bottom. Yeah, 31st of May was a bottom, sorry. 31st of May, that is 13th of November, already invalidated. So at the moment, on this line here, on 18th, we have one bottom in 2023. And that is it. There is no confirmations from anywhere. And unfortunately, the eclipse cycle for December is very bearish. For the rest of November, I mean, sorry. A lot of reds here in the eclipse cycle. So for tomorrow, for example, we have 67% probability of closing on red. The 19th of November. Then 21st of November, we have 75% probability of closing on red. Quite a lot of reds. At this moment in time, we need to be aware. We need to put all ambitions to one side. It's not the time to be ambitious and to be aiming to nail pivots. It is a time to just keep monitoring the cycles and keep looking for confluences, but not in that kind of ambitious way I must nail the pivot, because on the top, broadly speaking, and this is a lesson for me, next time I'm in a top year, I'm not gonna be actually present on the markets, because the tops are always choppy. The tops are always the most difficult part of the market to nail. And I want to nail the cycle bottom, enter my long positions in the cycle bottom, and then that is all we have to worry about. This year, particularly here, it was unnecessary expenditure of our energy and our attention. We could have been doing a lot better things than constantly monitoring here what is going on. It's a big lesson for me, never again to be working on the top. I only did it because I'm practicing my skills and I don't wanna get rusty, but they didn't deserve any of the emotional investment that we put here. Oh, I got this top, I missed that top. After a bottom like this, on a you get a straight full-bodied red candle, and from there on they're going up for 2 weeks. That has never happened on the market before. This market is absolutely disgusting. They didn't allow any opportunity to people to actually trade. Who would enter a long position on a red candle like this without any long wick here to indicate that we have a consensus on the market that the lows are rejected, that the majority of the market participants are rejecting the lows? You have a full-bodied red candle, and then from there suddenly they do 2 weeks of up moves. These idiots, whoever they are, they were trading between themselves. This is not really the trading material of retail, because all of this is against the books, the fundamental books of TA. If you don't see rejection of the lows evidenced in a nice long wick here, you do not enter a long position. This big full-bodied red candle means no rejection of the lows, so means a falling knife, so you cannot enter a long position. So the top is very choppy, and people who are very ambitious to be nailing those top dates, great, but just keep in mind that this is the most difficult thing to do on the market, is to be nailing the top dates. Okay, so let's have a look what else we got here in terms of pivots. Yes, by the way, my system depends on historical probabilities and historical events. And look at these red candles now. From the 11th of November until the 18th of November is all red. And if you scroll down to see when did that happen again in history, the last time it happened was from the 15th of December 2022, where we had so much red all the way. Let's just go there. Let's just go to that. So do you see the logic is that we're looking when in history this section here of the solar eclipse cycle is dumping so hard. So we go to 15th of December 2022. Right? That is the equivalent to 11th of November 2025. 15th of December 2022. To see what happened then. Okay. Right, so 15th of December 2022 is on the same date of the cycle as 11th of November 2025. So that is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. How much more dumping can we expect? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. This is This fractal here is telling us we can expect more dumping all the way until 26th of November, right? Remember this. You will see this has happened now many times in October and November. I use cycles like this. I find similarities between the cycles and they are accurate. They're repeating the pattern only until the bottom is reached. And once the bottom is reached, they don't go up after that. So remember this here, 11th of November 2025, the last time we have had such a long dumping on the market for so many days in a row was 15th of December 2022. It dumped to the equivalent of the 26th of November. That was the last date of dumping. 26th, 27th of November. How is it that there are more red candles there? On the chart we saw it that it's the equivalent of 26th of November. So I'm increasing this size here so you remember it. And I'm putting here bottom derived from 15th of December 2022. Let's see whether it will take off after that, because so far several cycles, I will show you several cycles so far, like this cycle here. Look at it, it nailed the bottom on the 3rd of November. This fractal I posted on Twitter. After my forecast, I discovered this fractal after my forecast that I made on YouTube, because on YouTube I just gave you gun dates for these bottom dates here, 3rd, 4th and 5th of November. And after that I wanted to find a planetary cycle and I found it. Here it is. Quite nice, right? So it has been accurate since 23rd of September 2025. Look at it, it's pretty accurate. It made a bottom here, right? It made a bottom on 3rd of November. And then the green fractal is the same cycle. But I just put it in green because it wouldn't make sense to have it in red color going up. It's exactly the same cycle. And then look, after the bottom, Bitcoin stopped following the rest of the cycle. That was it. It followed it only to the bottom, and then it switched to another cycle that keeps going lower. It has been absolutely disgusting what has been happening on the market. These are real cycles running right now. It was right until the 10th of November. And then from 10th of November, it went in the opposite direction. Actually, on the 14th of November is when we saw the real invalidation, because this fractal here went down for a couple of days. So by the time we realized that we had totally invalidated, it was 14th of November. That's it. This fractal got invalidated. But it was pretty accurate on the downside. And now we are getting this cycle here. We'll see if 26th of November is the bottom and then we go up. And also, if you notice, these were quite small candles there. From 15th of here it is. You can see they're tiny candles. Actually, the small size of the candles is telling us that it's getting ready, that it is consolidating. So I'm showing it to you again. 15th of December 2022 is the equivalent of 11th of November 2025 in terms of eclipse cycles. This is exactly the same day after the solar eclipse. So if we count these days, we end up, this is the equivalent of 26th of November 2025. And from there on, it should start going up. So that's the eclipse cycle projection. we also need to check, is there anything else in this section of the sky here, in this section of the chart, I mean, any pivots that have been made before, between 18th of November and 26th of November? No, there are no historical pivots made in this section. Right, we have a historical pivot high on the 6th of December. That is the same day of the eclipse cycle as the 17th of December 2024. Again, many of these have not manifested, guys, so I'm not saying that that's what I'm predicting to you, that 6th of December will be the top, that 26th of November will make a bull reversal. I'm not saying that, but this is what the eclipse cycle is forecasting. So we keep these in mind, and the way we work is we monitor them every day now. We're monitoring. If we have small volatility now, from 19th of November, if we have small volatility and the candles tend to be a red color, because you can see the manipulation, where they were getting ready to pump here, they were communicating a downtrend, and they were giving these red candles. They were not, this section here was created to deliberately mislead and create a kind of a worrying, bearish setup. And then with these small green candles, quite inconspicuously, gradually they started building, and then they pumped. Now we understand these setups. They're not going to give us a similar setup. They'll probably give us something that we never expected. But for now, we're expecting small red candles in this section ahead, for the days ahead, with a couple of green candles. You see here there was a one big candle here. I'll take this fractal later on, and I'll post it on Twitter. I'll post this fractal on Twitter. I have a feeling that we may even end up repeating the daily time frames exactly to the date, because in a couple of days we should have one very big pump, and this green candle is kind of highlighting that. Right, Chinese time frames. Let's have a look at the Chinese time frames. Do you remember my November forecast? 100% historical probability that the fire pig will be closing on green. On all previous occasions, the fire pig has closed on green. And we didn't get it on this occasion. Absolutely disgusting. And I'll tell you, the lazy astrologers who don't do any back testing, they were right about November, because they said about November, when you get pig and snake together, it will be a bearish month ahead. That is the laziest thinking ever. Let me just show you. Right? Pig and snake are making 180-degree angle between themselves. When I see this in a chart of a client, I tell them that this is a unfavorable situation. It is inauspicious situation to have that within your natal chart, to have these two enemies sitting right next to each other. It is inauspicious situation. However, the reason why I say this, because that is the standard thinking in the system. I don't know the person's life. So if I don't know the person's life, I use the standard rule in the system, and then I open the caveat, and then I say to the client, by the way, I know many successful people who have this combination, and they're making exceptionally good amount of money, and they're very successful. One example is Olga Morales. She was born exactly in the year of the wood snake, and her monthly pillar is a pig. She is the most respected astrologer, financial astrologer in the world, most established, most respected. most accurate and highest paid. She commands $10,000 per course. I mean, you can see she's a leader in the field with those high prices. Nobody else can get any clients with those high prices, right? But she can. She has snake here and pig here. So how is that combination bearish? Tell me. People who do research were made to look like fools in November and in October, and that is the main reason I'm angry about, because the lazy astrologers ended up being right. Oh, pig and snake, the enemies, this is gonna be a bear month. Hold on, did you actually go and back test the Bitcoin market? That rule doesn't work on the Bitcoin market. Bitcoin is a fighter. The same way Olga Morales, Elon Musk, there are many rich and successful people who have difficult combinations in their chart. In Elon Musk, it is between the pig and the monkey. That is another 90-degree angle that is quite nasty. This one is 180, in Elon Musk is 90-degree angle. And those people are on top of their game. So we only use this rule if you don't know the history of the person. We tell them that that presents an opportunity there for a bearish setup. And then I immediately give the example after that, but don't take it seriously, because many successful people have these bearish setups and they end up actually making a lot of money, because we have another rule in Chinese astrology that when you clash animals, we call this a clash. When you clash animals, that's when you make money. That is another rule in Chinese astrology. The lazy astrologers don't know that ancient rule of Chinese astrology. They know only the standard rule of Chinese astrology, that 180 degree creates a bear situation. Immediately, without any back testing, they made this forecast for November that we're expecting a bearish November, and they were right. And I was made, the market makers made a total fool out of me, because I have the whole structure here of Bitcoin in terms of Chinese animals and Chinese elements. So I'm doing the sensible fucking thing. I'm checking the fire pig, which is a deeper level of research than just using that general theoretical rule. And I'm checking the fire pig, 100% green. I'm also checking how about the ding fire, and I gave you 65% closing on a green. It's the ding fire element. So based on these results, my forecast was green for November. And I ended up being the wrong one. And that is one thing I cannot forgive them fucking. I'm cursing those cunts every fucking day, because they made the sensible traders look like idiots. They gave these red candles there, full-bodied red candles on the bottom, so people cannot enter any positions on those full-bodied. Look at that. Look what a big rejection this red candle had here. That shows rejection from the lows. And next thing, it goes down. But when it goes up, but before it goes up, we don't have a rejection from the lows. We have a full-bodied red candle. All of that is designed to invite the idiots in the market and to repel and to punish people who are thinking, people who are researching, people who are making an effort. They don't want those people on the market. That is very obvious to me, because after this range here, for the whole duration they have been avoiding giving well-shaped tops. Right? 13th of August was not a well-shaped top. So on 13th of August I was 100% convinced that there was more to the upside. because it's simply not a well-shaped top. 14th of July was a well-shaped top. Also, when you get a star colored in green, that is very bearish. That means very serious retracement and correction. The green star is more bearish than the red star. That is how it is in Investopedia. My knowledge is from there. That is the best place to learn TA. So I expected here a much bigger retracement, and no, we didn't get a big retracement. This is not even the bottom of the VWAP range. That was like somewhere in the middle of the VWAP range. Every single candle on a pivot was fucking misleading. So from here you expect a lot of a retracement. You don't get it. Here, this is shouting, this is a local top. We got that massive correction there. It exactly played the opposite in every possible way. Here, this is not a star. This top is not a star. The 6th of October top. I have never seen a yearly top looking like this. This is not a well-shaped top, but it ended up the yearly top, probably. More likely. And in this mad correction there, that is now 30k correction, which is what? 1/4 of the total price. No, 1/5 of the total price. And here they're not even gonna do a nice hammer. This body here is quite thick. So it has been a very cruel time for anybody who is doing serious research, who is investigating, doing back testing, and all of those sensible people. We got proper punished, really brutalized. But I wanted to show you that eventually the times will change. It's not gonna last forever. Every single year the market has a different character. Sooner or later will come back in fashion, but the thinking people are not in fashion this year, that's for sure. When have you seen a yearly top looking like this shit here? This looks like a local top. Okay, coming back to Chinese astrology now. Again, this pivot, this cycle, I'm not obsessed about cycles, guy. You need to understand, I'm only using cycles because they're giving me pivots. This pivot, this cycle gave me the 7th of April 2025 yearly top. Every one of you who subscribed in the beginning of this year, you know, you received the email, you know that I gave this yearly bottom. And the reason why I gave this yearly bottom, because if you draw a horizontal line, this was a very big bottom last year. The bottom was on 10th of October 2024. That was the bottom before the parabolic moves. 10th of October was the last bottom before the parabolic moves. Right? Since then, has it nailed us any other pivots? 6th of June ended up being high. In June didn't play out as a pivot low. 5th of August 2025. No, the pivot low was a bit earlier. It was on 1st of August, I think. 1 second. I'm just checking how much we can trust it. 1st of August. Yeah. 1st of August, 2nd of August. So in August, the bottom was on 2nd of August. Where is that in the Chinese cycle? Here it is. So the bottom on 2nd of August was only 3 days earlier. only 3 days earlier before this yearly bottom, right? So clearly this is showing us that this is a bottom territory, this part of the Chinese cycle. And then in October, this worked out to be a top. And then look at something interesting. So one cycle is a bottom, the next cycle is a top. In June, this worked out to be a top. The top was on the 9th of June, right? Next cycle is a top, then next cycle is a bottom, then next cycle is a top. So what is coming next? If we continue to follow this pattern, we're expecting that the 3rd of December will be making a bottom, according to Chinese astrology. Okay. Any other dangers along the way? Why is the 12th? Ah, yes. These were my predictions. So I need to check those dates, guys, because some of them were actually my predictions that I was making to myself. And I need to enter the correct candles there, so I cannot comment on that section yet. But this is the bottom that is extracted by the Chinese system. It is extracting 3rd of December to be a bottom, or it could happen a bit earlier. It could happen as early as 30th of November, right? And then the solar eclipse cycle is telling us 26th of November to be a bottom, and 6th of December to be a top. So there is a slight, clearly these cycles, only one of them will be right, because to have 3rd of December bottom, that is not enough to pump to make 6th of December top. So they're not completely kind of confluencing each other. And for that reason, we just need to keep observing what is happening. I'm gonna extract that fractal now from that eclipse that I showed you earlier, and I'm gonna put it on Twitter today, the 18th of November, and we'll take it from there. We just have to monitor every day for invalidations. Once we get invalidations, invalidate the fractal quickly and just look for other cycles. There are millions of cycles today. Today is packed with events. I'm not even gonna go there because the video will be way too long. It is already an hour long. It is 1 hour long, so I have to go now. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.